Hey, this is Vicki. I'm coming to you today from Haymarket Park in Lincoln, Nebraska, and just doing a little wine tasting today at the James Arthur Wine Tasting Room downtown Lincoln, and just enjoying a relaxing evening and afternoon here. Wanted to visit with you today about toxic work environments. And I'm curious, how many of you have experienced working in a toxic work environment? I talk to people all day long who see and are living in work environments that they feel are extremely challenging, toxic, and they're really looking to, they don't want to be in that environment anymore. So I'm curious, leave me a comment below. Like, have you worked in a toxic work environment, and what did you see in that environment that made it toxic? Was there communication issues, attitude issues? Just curious what you've seen and experienced. And then, how much of that environment would you attribute to leadership not doing or taking care of the culture of the company? So, in my experience, in my work experience, I have worked in a number of environments that I would consider were toxic. And at one point in time, I took over a company that had a fairly toxic environment, that had a terrible safety record, terrible financial record, and was able to implement a lot of things to change that environment and put it in a really positive direction. So that's my other curiosity. If you worked in an environment that was toxic, where you have seen it change, and if so, how did that change happen? And then I'm curious also, like, if you're working in a toxic environment, what do you think the solution is to that? Would you look to just change your circumstances, or would you look to stay and learn how to cope differently with the situation? Because here's the other thing, I'm a true believer that we attract into our lives the experiences that we need to better ourselves and help us move to the next levels of life. So I know for me, when I was experiencing, some toxicity in the workplace, it did two things for me. Number one, I always was asking myself the question, what do I need to do? What lessons do I need to learn here? So what is this reflecting in me? And is it my perspective that I'm seeing? Because sometimes we can carry wounds or lack of confidence over things from the past, and then people do things not meaning to, but they poke those wounds, and they make us, and we hurt because they're touching our wound. That doesn't necessarily mean the whole environment is toxic. It means that we are hurting because our wound is being touched. So in that case, it's an opportunity for you to heal that wound and really function at a higher, more productive level. So using toxic work environments as kind of a mirror to see what you can grow and improve in yourself, it is a possibility. Curious to hear your thoughts on that. And here's the thing, it's that old quote and that adage that the teacher appears when we need the lesson, but once the lesson is learned, the teacher disappears. I have some pretty powerful stories of how that's worked in my own experience of something that I considered toxic, and instead of blaming that other person, I looked inside to see, okay, what can I do to shift this circumstance? And when I learned that lesson, then something happened where the circumstance just really completely evaporated. So leave me your thoughts, leave me your comments. Would love to hear what you have to say. I'd also love to hear if you have been in Nebraska and visited Haymarket Park. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.